Now, the way things transmit to the environment is a whole other bag. Now, let's take a look at this from a scent perspective briefly for a second and think about it. Air movement is what affects odor transmission. So as air moves, it moves by this person. By the way, the person, like I said, that individual is standing there shedding 40,000 skin cells a minute, 50 million of those a day. They're breathing. Their skin is dropping sebum and sweat out into the environment. The sweat evaporates off your skin and goes out into the environment. It mixes with the air. Sebum is heavier. It tends to drop. It accumulates on our skin. Any of you folks wear eyeglasses? I had for years. And you ever notice that the inside of your eyeglasses wind up getting greasy and you have to clean them, even though you've never touched them? That's because your oil ones are literally jetting microfine particles of oil out of your skin off of your body. And that's what gets on the inside of your glasses. Well, it's not just happening around your face and around your glasses, it's all over your body. And so we got to realize these biological processes are happening all the time. And they're interacting with the air so that as the air moves around us or we move through the air, parts of us are being left everywhere we go. Anything we carry, anything we hold, the drugs, the explosives, things like that, is starting to get mixed and blended. So odor transmission has a whole lot of factors that we have to consider, and we're going to get into those in a little more depth as we go through this. But one of the things you have to realize is no matter what, it all is dependent on the laws of fluid dynamics. It's just like watching water moving in a stream. If you watch a nice stream that's got a good flow and you can see it and you put things in it, stick a rock in there, you can see the water eddy and swirl around it. Well, guess what? Air is the same kind of a medium. It happens the same way. It's just not as dense. And so as we go through this, things that can be seen in water, we can't see them happening, but you can feel them. If you've been doing any kind of search work for a long time, you know that you'd be on one side of a building and you feel the air moving another way or one way. Then you get to the corner and you feel the air change and swirl and go another way. The air hasn't really changed. The building has impacted the air's flow and created a back current. That's one of the things that you got to deal with. And we talked about plumes versus cones. Because of the way air moves through these things and gets manipulated by the environment or gets modified by the environment, those cones are very irregular. And any downwind obstruction creates a high pressure zone on the upwind side of the obstruction and a low pressure zone on the other side. And as air moves around it, it wants to fill that low pressure zone. So the pressure builds up on the upwind side. And then as it goes around to the downwind side, it wants to curl back in. And by the way, if it's up high, goes up over it, it wants to curl back in around it and come into the other way. That's why when you're going along the downwind side of a building, you may feel the wind blowing towards you when actually it's blowing from the other direction. And that's why if you have somebody up on the roof of that building, your dog may run out away from the building with its nose high, trying to go chase after them. And then all of a sudden they run out of it because guess what? That air is no longer curling back towards the building because of the low pressure zone and they lose it. If you ever see that phenomenon, you've got a danger zone behind you. So think about it when we get to patrol section on that. Realize that those swirls and eddies represent points where you and your dog have to work together to solve the problem. Sometimes it is, I can set up an exercise. I guarantee you dogs will be right by going the opposite direction from the source. They're trying to find it, but because the odor not available to them closer to source, they're just trying to tell you this is where it's strongest. And our job is to help them figure it out.